First Monday of school, hitting it hard, getting into the book. This is chapter 1, section 1, numerical expressions, part 1. We'll spend 2 days on this section 1 in chapter 1. So tomorrow we'll finish it up with part 2. But for today we'll do numerical expressions, part 1. You can write this down if you'd like. You don't necessarily have to write this down. You can pay attention to it if you want. A numerical expression is just a mathematical phrase that contains only numbers and mathematical operations. So anything that just contains numbers and operations is a numerical expression. So 6 plus 2 divided by 1 is considered a numerical expression. It consists of only numbers and mathematical operations. So it's a numerical expression. Any questions or confusion as to what a numerical expression is? So does that say anything about it having any variables or anything like that? No. So if it contains variables, it's not a numerical expression. It just must be numbers and operations. Some numerical expressions contain multiplication. Multiplication can be represented in several ways, including a raised dot or parentheses. Here are some ways to represent the product. What does product mean? Multiplication. So here's some ways to represent the product of 2 and 3. You can have 2 and 3 with that raised dot that it's talking about between it. So 2 times 3 right here. Just the 3 could be in parentheses. If there's no other operation written there, it's understood to be multiplication. Just the 2 could be in parentheses. And then the 2 and the 3 could both be in parentheses. Those are all different ways to represent multiplication. So if you see a product, or if you see numbers written any sort of these ways, just know that that's multiplication and not any other of your operations. Okay? Are there any questions about that? We good? Can I move on, or is there anyone trying to get all this written down? I'm good to move on? Okay. Example 1. Translate 1 plus 8 divided by 3 into a numerical expression. So it's giving me this sentence, and it wants me to write it as some numerical expression. So numbers with operations, with mathematical operations. Okay? 1 plus 8 divided by 3. What do you think I need to write for 1 plus 8? 1. What does plus mean? Add. The addition sign, right? And then your 8. And then divided by 3. Right? 1 plus 8 divided by 3. Everyone okay with that? Does it tell me to evaluate it or anything like that? Nope. So if it asks me to just translate that sentence into an expression, there's my answer right there. That's all I got to do. Is there any questions about that? Any confusion? Simple enough, hopefully. Okay. Can I move on to my next example? Okay. Once again, it gives us another statement, and it wants us to translate it into a numerical expression. The sum of 5 and 9 divided by 2. The sum of 5 and 9 divided by 2. Any ideas on what I can do here, or what this would look like?
5 plus 9 divided by 2.
Just like that? Okay, we're very, very close here. We're missing something. When it tells me the sum of 5 and 9, and it words it like this, it's wanting the whole sum, the whole amount, to be divided by 2. Whereas over here, does it say the sum of 1 and 8 divided by 3? No, that's just 1 plus 8 divided by 3. Here it wants the actual sum of 5 and 9 to be divided by 2. So it changes the way I'm going to do my operations. So what I need to do here is include parentheses, and that parentheses is my sum of 5 and 9. Everyone okay with that? Does everyone see how it's worded differently than example 1?
Yes, sir.
So when it says like the sum of something or the difference of something divided by something else, we need to include these grouping symbols, our parentheses, to note that, hey, this whole sum is being divided by 2. I'm not going to divide 9 by 2 and then add 5. I'm going to do this 5 plus 9 first and then divide by 2. If you wrote it like that, I'd count it correct. Another way we can write division when it's a whole big problem being divided by one number is as a fraction. I could do 5 plus 9 over 2. I can make it a fraction. Fractions are just division. Okay? Any questions on example 2? So like I said, anytime you see it worded that way, make sure you use grouping symbols to denote that sum, the whole sum or the whole difference, the whole product, whatever, is being divided by whatever else. Okay? Questions on example 2? I believe this is my last example for us. Pretty quick notes today. Nice little word problem for us. A person's handicap in bowling is usually found by subtracting the person's average from 200, multiplying by 2, and dividing by 3. Marley's bowling average is 170. Write a numerical expression for Marley's handicap in bowling. So it doesn't tell me to find her handicap. It just tells me to create an expression that I would be able to find the handicap if it told me to go further and actually find the handicap. So let's just take it step by step and do each thing individually, and then we'll put it all together in the end. Yeah, will someone get that for me? So what is the first thing I have to do when I'm calculating someone's handicap in bowling? What's the first thing it tells me to do?
Subtract.
Subtracting what from what?
The people's average from 20.
Yeah, subtracting the person's average from 200. So in this case, what is Marley's average?
170.
So if I'm subtracting her average from 200, what would that look like written mathematically as a numerical expression? If I'm subtracting 170 from 200. Not 170 minus 200. 200 minus 170. I'm subtracting 170 from 200, correct? Everyone okay with that? That's the very first step it tells me to do. What's the next step? Multiplying by 2. Well, it wants this step to be multiplied by 2, correct? So what do I need to include around these?
Parentheses.
Yes, parentheses. So there's my first step, subtracting 170 from 200. Second step, multiplying that by 2. And what's my last step? Divided by 3. It wants my whole thing up here to be divided by 3 because that's the very last step that it wants me to do. So all this is just going to be over 3.
Okay, hold on.
So I took Marley's average, subtracted it from 200. Whatever I got for that, I'm multiplying it by 2. Whatever I got for that, I'm dividing it by 3. And that gives us Marley's handicap in bowling. Does everyone see how we got that? So, on your assignment, whenever you have a word problem like this, just take it step by step like we just did. Piece it all together into one big thing. Okay? Once again, does it tell me to evaluate? No, it just tells me to write a numerical expression for Marley's handicap. This is her numerical expression. That's where I would stop for today. That makes sense. Questions, comments, concerns on this example?
Nope.
We good? All right. Here's your assignment. That's right. Pages 9 through 10, numbers 1 through 25 all. A lot of these should go really, really fast because The assignments in the book are just like the examples we just did. So writing those numeric or those phrases as numerical expressions should go pretty quick. Does that make sense? So get this written down. That way you have it, and I can take it off the board. This will be due Wednesday.
This Wednesday?
Yep. Wednesday the 21st. And hopefully it'll be due on Canvas, because hopefully you guys will have access and there will be no issues whatsoever. So, due Wednesday. Remember, my late policy is if you turn it in before we do the chapter test corrections for chapter 1, you can still get full credit. But make sure you don't let your homework assignments build up. Don't just put it off, because guess what? We might get another assignment tomorrow. And we might get another assignment the next day. So then it's going to snowball. You're going to have a bunch of homework assignments to do. So just work on it in class. Hopefully you can get a lot knocked out, if not all of it. If not, you might just have a couple problems to do at home. Okay?
What's today's date?
Today is the 19th. Are there any questions about my notes before I end the recording?
No, sir.
All right.